What if I told you there was a figure in ancient mythology so mysterious, so fearsome that people sacrificed their own flesh to honor him? A figure whose worship called for human sacrifices, bloody rituals and skin-stripping ceremonies. This wasn't just any deity. This was a being tied to the cycles of life and death, renewal and decay. Who was this enigmatic being? What did he represent? And why did people perform such haunting rituals to honor him? Prepare yourself, because as we dig into his story, you'll uncover one of the darkest mysteries of the ancient world, the secrets of Xipe Totec, a figure known as the Flayed One. Xipe Totec's origins are somewhat obscure, but evidence of his worship can be found throughout Mesoamerica, dating back to the Toltec civilization and continuing into the Aztec Empire. Ancient carvings and statues depict a figure with peculiar clothing. Often, it looks as if he's wearing a second layer of skin, as if his own flesh was stripped away and replaced. Archaeologists believe this was more than just a fashion statement. For the Aztecs, every detail carried symbolic weight, and Xipe Totec's flayed appearance was no exception. He represented both life and death, decay and renewal, embodying the cycle of nature in a way that may seem eerie, but to the Aztecs was a natural part of life. But why the flayed skin? And what did this mysterious figure have to do with agriculture and growth? To understand, we need to dive deeper into his most sacred and bloody ritual. One of the most infamous ceremonies dedicated to Xipe Totec was Tlacaxipehualistli, a festival whose name means the flaying of men. Held annually, this festival involved a gruesome ritual. Captured warriors, often from enemy tribes, were chosen as sacrifices. They were tied to a post and forced to fight to the death, a spectacle meant to please Xipe Totec. But it didn't end there. The victors weren't spared. Once these warriors fell, they were flayed, their skin removed and worn by priests and warriors as a tribute to Xipe Totec. The skin was believed to bring life back to the earth, symbolizing the shedding of the old and the birth of the new. In essence, these rituals were viewed as necessary to ensure a good harvest and continued life. This act of shedding flesh was, to the Aztecs, a literal sacrifice for rebirth. Imagine the spectacle city streets lined with people watching as priests donned the skins of sacrificial victims. It was a sight of both reverence and terror, a reminder of the delicate balance between life and death in their world. The flayed skin was more than just a terrifying garment. In the Aztec worldview, wearing the skin of another symbolized rebirth. Like a snake shedding its old skin, Xipe Totec's worshippers believed that donning new flesh could help them start fresh, cleanse impurities, and nourish the earth. The skins worn by priests during ceremonies symbolized the second skin of the corn husk, which protected the vital seeds within. By wearing the skin, priests and participants sought to draw power from Xipe Totec. They believed the dead skin could channel the god's energy, linking them directly to the cycle of life, death, and regrowth that governed their world. Xipe Totec wasn't just a figure confined to rituals. He influenced every level of Aztec society. His connection to warfare made him particularly important to Aztec warriors who saw his rituals as a way to gain strength and fearlessness. Sacrifices to Xipe Totec were believed to grant warriors bravery in battle and protection from enemies. For farmers and common people, Xipe Totec represented the cycle of seasons, growth, and the rebirth of crops. His worship was an appeal for fertile fields and bountiful harvests, giving hope that sacrifices would ensure their survival. But even ordinary citizens were not exempt from the dark ceremonies. Everyone in Aztec society participated in or observed the bloody rituals, understanding the grave importance of maintaining this cycle. Archaeological evidence reveals how Xipe Totec was depicted in Aztec art and sculpture. In ancient statues, he's shown with visible seams in his skin, a haunting reminder of the rituals carried out in his name. His eyes are often closed or covered, and his mouth open, almost as if speaking from beyond. Statues and murals feature him covered in cracked, scarred flesh, a sign of both his power and his mystery. Historians believe these sculptures served as reminders of the deity's ever-watchful presence. By seeing these artworks daily, Aztecs would be reminded of the cycle they were part of and the sacrifices they had to uphold. Even today, these figures evoke a sense of dread and awe, capturing the power Xipe Totec held over his people. Xipe Totec was part of a larger pantheon that emphasized cycles of death and rebirth. Like other Aztec deities, his role intersected with those of gods such as Huitzilopochtli, the god of war, and Tlaloc, the god of rain and fertility. Together they represented different aspects of life and death, essential to keeping the world balanced. Xipe Totec, however, stood out because of his dual nature. He was not just a god of life, but one who reminded the Aztecs of the price of that life. Through him, they understood that new life came at the cost of death, and the boundaries between the two were not as solid as they seemed. Though the Aztecs are long gone, the legend of Xipe Totec lives on. Archaeologists and historians continue to uncover artifacts that testify to the god's enduring influence. In 2019, a temple dedicated to him was discovered in Puebla, Mexico, complete with remnants of sacrificial ceremonies and depictions of his flayed form. For modern Mexicans, Xipe Totec is a reminder of the strength and complexity of their ancestors' beliefs. His influence can even be seen in folklore, where he's often portrayed as a figure of awe, representing both life's fleeting nature and its resilience. He has become a symbol of the ancient Aztec worldview, a complex tapestry woven with life, death, and renewal. Xipe Totec's story challenges us to rethink our understanding of life and death. He is a figure of paradoxes, both life-giving and death-dealing, a god of fertile crops and a demand for sacrifice. For the Aztecs, he was a deity of profound respect and terror, a god whose rituals held society together, rooted in both reverence and dread. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of Xipe Totec. If you're as fascinated by ancient mysteries as we are, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Cosmic Buzzin. Let us know in the comments what other legends and gods you'd like us to explore. Until next time, keep your eyes open, because history holds mysteries that are darker than we could ever imagine.